Hey you guys, it's me SpongeBob number 1 fan 2003 here, and as you can see I'm here with a super awesome SpongeBob Cine-Manga book, and this one is called Krusty Krab Adventures, and I actually just got this book as an Easter gift this year, and this is actually a very super awesome book. I really like it. Okay, so as you can see on the front cover, there's Patrick right there, and then there's Squidward, and then there's little SpongeBob juggling a bunch of, like, Krusty Krab utensils right here, like spatulas, a Krabby Patty, ketchup, and a plate. Okay, and here's the spine, and here's the back. So right here is a really cute picture of SpongeBob, and then here's a little description about all the stories that are in here. Okay, so let's go ahead and start looking at the pages that are in this book. Okay, so firstly, this book was actually made in the year 2003, and then here's Krusty Krab Adventures with little SpongeBob juggling all those utensils again. And then here's another Krusty Krab Adventures thing right here with SpongeBob mopping the floor and a very annoyed Squidward. Okay, and then here's like a bunch of information about SpongeBob and his friends here. And then here are the contents right here. And then here is the first story called The Allergies Always Greener. Okay, so an elderly guy actually orders a Krabby Patty, and then he gets some ketchup, and apparently Plankton's inside the ketchup because he wants to get into that Krabby Patty right there, like he'll get launched into there. And apparently the old man actually misses his little ketchup drop thingy, like he accidentally misses, and Plankton is launched right into Mr. Krabs' office. And then Mr. Krabs sees Plankton, and then he tosses him right out of the Krusty Krab. And then Plankton comes home very upset, and Karen actually gives her husband some dinner, which is holographic meatloaf, and apparently Plankton actually really wants to have some real food. And he really wants to switch lives with him, so he goes to his life switch machine, and then he gets shipped or transferred right to the Krusty Krab, and he sees that he has his own name tag, Mr. Plankton. And now Pearl is his daughter, and the Krusty Krab is all his. And then SpongeBob is giving a customer 2 deluxe Krabby Patties, and Plankton actually really wants to have those Krabby Patties for himself. And then SpongeBob gives Plankton 2 Krabby Patties for the bun inspection. So Plankton takes the Krabby Patties into his office, and he's very happy that he finally has the Krusty Krab and the Krabby Patties. And SpongeBob actually really wants to have his weekly performance review, and Plankton doesn't even know what he can say, and then SpongeBob really wants to know if he has to improve anything. And Plankton says that he uses too much sauce, and then SpongeBob is like, and then Plankton gets so ticked off with SpongeBob's funny face that he decides to give him a promotion, and he's on register duty now. And SpongeBob is very happy, and he's actually co-cashier. And Squidward is very upset, and he wants his view to be a little less yellow, and apparently now he works at the grill. And then Pearl comes, and she wants to have an advance on her allowance, and Plankton just gives her $1, and apparently Pearl thinks that he hates her. And Squidward actually really messes up the Krabby Patties. And SpongeBob accidentally gives someone a large soda, even though they asked for a medium, and he thinks that he soiled the good Krusty Krab name. And apparently an alarm goes off, and everyone has to take cover because Mr. Krabs has stolen a Krabby Patty. And worst of all, Mr. Krabs is naked, and then SpongeBob like launches a bunch of clothes at him, and then a bra is actually launched onto Mr. Krabs, and everyone is so happy that Mr. Krabs failed to get a Krabby Patty that everyone is like, but Mr. Krabs will never give up, and he says that he'll come back the next day, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day. So Plankton can't take it anymore, and he decides to go back to his normal life with a chum bucket and has his holographic meatloaf. Okay, so that's all for that story, and now for culture shock. Okay, so apparently a customer actually comes, and like Mr. Krabs wants SpongeBob to interview him, and he doesn't want SpongeBob to screw it up. So SpongeBob actually sort of interviews the customer for a second, and he gives him some change. And the customer actually gives SpongeBob a penny, and then Mr. Krabs takes the penny and puts it in the safe, and he actually really wants to know if his employees have any ideas. And Squidward actually decides that they can have a talent show, and Mr. Krabs actually really wants his little girl Pearl to be a star. And SpongeBob actually really wants to be part of the show too. And he like has a lot of like ideas, like dancing with a bubble, but apparently Squidward doesn't want SpongeBob to be in the talent show. Okay. So SpongeBob actually gets to mop after the show's over, and he's very happy with that job. And the first person to go on is Pearl, and she's a cheerleader. And then Gary is a poet. And SpongeBob still really wants to do something very interesting with soap. And then the amazing Plankton is actually going to like make a Krabby Patty disappear. And apparently Mr. Krabs catches him. And then Squidward actually does his act, which is dancing. And apparently everyone hates Squidward's dancing, so they like throw a bunch of tomatoes at him. And now it's time for SpongeBob's act, which is just mopping the floor because the show's over now. And apparently everyone really likes SpongeBob and his mopping. Like, they're all like, yay, clap, 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 encore with SpongeBob, but everyone's like silent with Squidward. And everyone loves SpongeBob so much that they like throw a bunch of flowers at him. Okay, and then here is this story right here called Pizza Delivery. Okay. So it's actually closing time at the Krusty Krab, and someone actually calls and they really want to have a pizza. So SpongeBob and Squidward actually have to deliver it to the customer. And SpongeBob obviously doesn't know how to drive, and he like backs up a lot, and then the car accidentally leaves them behind after they get out for a second. And now they have to deliver the pizza on foot. And then SpongeBob puts on a cowboy hat, and then he like dances in front of this car, and then Squidward saves him, and now there's like a big huge tornado happening. And Squidward really wants SpongeBob to let go of the pizza, but SpongeBob refuses to let go of it. And then they all fall down, and then SpongeBob lands down safely because the pizza was actually a parachute. But apparently Squidward thinks that they're doomed because now they're in the middle of nowhere. And SpongeBob says that moss always points to civilization, but Squidward doesn't believe SpongeBob, so they go in like the opposite direction or something. And there's civilization, but they don't know that that's civilization or something. Like they go in the opposite direction of that. So SpongeBob is singing the Krusty Krab pizza song, and that gets on Squidward's nerves. And then it's been days and they have to eat something, and SpongeBob says that the pioneers would eat coral, and Squidward really wants to have that pizza, and then he like tries to make SpongeBob get an appetite for the pizza by checking on it and saying that like the cheese and the pepperoni looks so good, but then SpongeBob realizes that Squidward just wants them to eat the pizza or something. And then SpongeBob finds a boulder or like a rock, and SpongeBob can actually drive the rock because like the pioneers would use these, and they took directions from Algae. So they made it to the customer's house, and the customer is really excited to have his pizza, but apparently he forgot, like, he wanted to have a drink, but he never asked for one, and he's very, very dissatisfied with his order. So he throws the pizza right in SpongeBob's face, and SpongeBob is so upset that he cries, and Squidward is very, very mad at the customer, and he throws the pizza in the customer's face. And SpongeBob is very, very happy, and then they go back to work. And that's the end of that story. Okay, and then here is the last story called Pickles. So, some people actually order some Krabby Patties, and then Bubble Bass comes, and he actually just, like, orders a bunch of nonsense. And apparently Bubble Bass and SpongeBob really hate each other. And Bubble Bass has the Krabby Patty, but SpongeBob forgot the pickles. And apparently Bubble Bass gets his money back, and that $2 actually comes out of SpongeBob's paycheck. And then SpongeBob forgets how to make a Krabby Patty, and he even forgets where the door is. And then SpongeBob is still struggling really hard to make a Krabby Patty, but he can't. And he even, like, forgets how he gets into bed. Like, he struggles to get into bed. And then in the morning, SpongeBob's alarm goes off, and it really ticks him off. And he uses Gary to shut the alarm up. Very good idea. So Squidward actually messes up all the food, and he burns everything. And Mr. Krabs decides to get SpongeBob back. So SpongeBob's house is a real mess, and he speaks backwards, and his underwear is on his head. And then Mr. Krabs has a lot of, like, Krabby Patty ingredients for SpongeBob, and he says that he can take his time with it. You know, to try to get SpongeBob to make a Krabby Patty. But apparently SpongeBob can't make a Krabby Patty, and then as he's arguing with Mr. Krabs, he unexpectedly remembers how to make a Krabby Patty. See? So now it's time for SpongeBob to go back to the Krusty Krab. So Bubble Bass comes to the Krusty Krab since he knows that SpongeBob is back. And SpongeBob doesn't forget the pickles. And then Bubble Bass is like chewing the Krabby Patty, and apparently SpongeBob forgot the pickles again. But then they all realize that Bubble Bass actually hid the pickles under his tongue the entire time. And then Bubble Bass leaves because he's now very, very embarrassed, and everyone is very happy for SpongeBob. Okay. And then here's an advertisement for the Friends Forever SpongeBob Cine-Manga, and then a bunch of other Cine-Mangas, and then a Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius Cine-Manga as well. Okay, so that's actually pretty much all for this SpongeBob Cine-Manga called Krusty Krab Adventures. I actually really super like this book. My favorite story was probably like all 4 of them because they're really, really super cool. And, yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. So goodbye everybody, have a great day, and peace out.